All right. Welcome, everybody. Last week of content for ITS836, The Future of Blockchain, part two of your final portfolio paper, using the slides as they are posted in the classroom. And this is a very interesting presentation. I would advise you read the articles posted for reference. They give you some good ideas of where you may want to go with this section of your paper. And with all things, though, I would challenge you to back up what you're saying with credible evidence as documented in the academic um, literature. Okay, so the future of blockchain. Um, we'll see here. Um, This, again, I'm using the presentation as delivered to me by the university. So the future is the U.S. economy, the stock market will have challenges, and crypto interest will soar. Maybe so, maybe no. You've seen the volatility in Bitcoin's value. But I would challenge anybody that says this and to look back on all the other bubbles as we've discussed in the past. And full disclosure, guys, I'm a Bitcoin doubter, cryptocurrency doubter. There's no denying that it has value now. I mean, if you bought or mined bitcoins, 10 years ago, you're a rich person right now. If you get out from under them. But I think it's similar to other bubbles where there is no underlying actual value. So I'm betting the opposite here. Um, if you if you're betting on a crumbling future, I would invest in something more tangible, land, guns, but internet fads like Bitcoin, I think will continue to be volatile. And since there's nothing to keep someone from starting a new uh, cryptocurrency, of which there are hundreds, it has no real value. I mean, other than people have put money against it, so they don't want to lose their money. But as soon as the demand goes down, and no one really knows what's going to happen when that 21 millionth coin gets mined either. And now we're going to charge transaction fees. Don't know. I don't know about that. Time will tell. But anyway, you can write about whatever you write about. Just try and support it with the literature. Um, the gaming industry will emerge as a major use case. I There's no information behind this in the presentation itself. Um, I would say, okay, interesting. How do you defend your prediction? And I'll say that for any of these cases, um, as opposed to tried and true technology, that what gap is it filling? What weakness, what yearning need does it fit? Um, which goes to the article in the very first link um, in your overview this week talks about Bitcoin possibly being a solution looking for a problem, and to me that's kind of where we're at. Why do we need or a blockchain? Why do we need a distributed ledger? Pretty much any the gaming industry um, that isn't a distributed um, effort or enterprise. It's managed by some central game owner who would own that blockchain. And if one entity owns the blockchain, then But anyway, maybe so. Maybe all of these in-game transactions where there are hacks and people buying weaponry and leveling up and whatnot and all that from each other. I know a little bit about World of Warcraft and all that. So maybe a blockchain would be efficient enough to document those transactions, and a game will emerge that uses that. Um, un uncontrolled, unowned by any central authority, like the Bitcoin blockchain. Maybe. I You're welcome to. These are just ideas, guys. You can propose any future that you can defend. Um, and I this is this is for everything. the, the U.S. maintains a wait and see regulatory approach to everything. It seems like every once in a while they jump in and do something um, aggressive, but it's pretty rare. So this is the prediction coming from the author of these slides, which I don't know who that necessarily that person is, but these are coming straight from the university. Um, uh, by 2030, most governments around the world, 2030, this is 9 years from now, most of the governments around the world will create or adopt a virtual currency. I mean, you can buy currency now. There are currency markets now. You can go out there and you can bet the farm on Swiss francs or yen or whatever, maybe as far as your um, the stability of the currency. But generally speaking, currencies are fairly stable. Now there are some out there that get into a free fall condition, but I don't know that blockchain is going to. But I don't know what that will do for you. So you can make that case if you can tell that story in that part of your paper. Great. Why do we need a crypto dollar and for the transactions to be recorded in blockchain as opposed to in traditional banking transactions? Uh, Interesting. I look forward to that exploration. $1 trillion protocols by 2030. In 9 years, there will be more tokens like Bitcoin or Ethereum, that have um, $1 trillion market caps. Then there will be $1 trillion market capped companies. Again, this is all built on perceived worth, as opposed to a company like Amazon that has warehouses and trucks and server farms and real, um, you know, assets. Interesting. Um, could be. Maybe so. Maybe no. Stable coins will gain popularity. So if you do choose this, make sure you define a stable coin in your paper, and if this is what you're looking for. Um, um, or here's another one. There may not be any killer app like supply chain management or gaming or whatever. So maybe this is kind of the downside. Industry will recognize that the killer app isn't coming, and it was an interesting technique that didn't necessarily find any particular application outside of the Bitcoin phenomenon. Um, could be. You are welcome to predict any future you like. Again, just try and make it more about the literature and less about our personal opinions. I would I would be the worst author to write a research article on blockchain because I have so much inherent bias. So it would really be best for me to just stay out of that game, which I will. There's zero chance I will write about Bitcoin or blockchain. And then identity. Now this is interesting because the blockchain, it can be blockchain based identity standard, but we already have biometrics. We have a DNA profile. We've got fingerprints. We've got retina scans. We already have biometric profiles. Even image recognition is. If you combine all of those, the chances of spoofing something are fairly low. Um, so if you stored that, um, self-sovereign, I guess that's is that if you stored that in a blockchain, and then I don't know, the transactions might be like your children adding to the, as we add new people to the blockchain, who, the Bitcoin transactions record who bought and sold, so that you can't buy and sell a particular coin more than once. Um, and everyone has visibility into that. I'm curious, how this would hold up. Um, anyway, but yeah, storing your personal identity, um, metrics, um, will emerge for as well as physical and virtual assets. I don't know. Interesting. I would look forward to a clear examination of any of these futures. Um, and it needs to be it needs to be clear. Um, Digital identity, yeah. I mean, like I said, we've already got the fractal math or whatever behind these biometric identities, um, that are close enough to unique, especially if you start adding in things that even identical twins don't necessarily have completely identical biometrics, all the biometrics. Um, so yeah, interesting. And maybe, maybe a smart contract. Um, Although again, the only reason to change a an established protocol is when that protocol shows weakness. So in any of these implementations, um, it would be good to explain the problem, the void that the implementation is fulfilling. Um, and that's just a matter of the way you write your paper. By 2030. Now here you go. Right now, uh, there's almost no global world trade being conducted using blockchain. It's being conducted using traditional banking transactions and supply chain and interlocked supply chain management. Um, you know, uh, the World Bank. I mean, it's just it's blockchain is not a factor right now, and this is saying it's going to like take over world trade. So I would challenge any author to prove that using some sort of trending. What has blockchain been doing for the last 10 years, the last 9 years, that indicates that it will overtake traditional banking funding transfers in the next 9 years. So interesting predictions. And then a new token economy. So we're not going to use um, money anymore. We're going to use tokens, which we know what tokenization is. And those tokens are going to have worth that may or may that's not backed up. If it's a totally autonomous economy, it's not backed by any cash. You would never need to convert those tokens. They would be traded as a currency is traded. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an economist. Um, I know as much historically about money as pretty much anybody else. It's a representation of wealth more so than wealth itself, and it's a way to avoid barter. Trading three chickens for a goat. That's the whole reason money came around and tokens evolved so that you could enhance trade. So any sort of token-based economy would need to replace currency, and people would say, "Oh, sure, I'll take a digitoken. That'll cost you three digitokens." But then it'd need to be backed by something. So um, yeah, if that's the future, you're welcome to include um, um, academically rigorous literature sources, but I would wonder if there's anything behind that. Says who? Or are you just are these just people proposing what could happen? Which is, that's not what we're here for. Yeah, anything could happen. A comet could hit the Earth. Aliens could land. But what is the research showing? Experiments. Has anybody created a token economy within a community? And if so, how's that going? Now that would be worth if you can find that would be worth learning about. Um, anyway, I mean, this has kind of been done somewhat. If you look into like the coal mining industry in the United States in Appalachia, there there are instances where the coal mining company would issue their own script, it was called, their own money to their employee because the coal mining company owned all the stores and the coal mining company owned all the houses and the coal mining company owned everything. It was almost like the coal mining company was the government and ruled the economy. And they paid you in script because that's all you didn't need money because there was nobody around in these isolated coal mining towns to accept real dollars. So that was kind of a token economy by itself. And read about it. It was horrible. It didn't last. It was exploitative. It was the opposite of a centralized or a decentralized approach. Yeah, read an article about that. Coal mining script and the company store. There's even a song. It's old, back in the '60s, uh, by a man named Tennessee Ernie Ford. It's an old song. It written as a coal miner who only got paid in company script, and he sold my soul to the company store. So yeah, token economies that has happened out there. Um, but did it prosper? Did it flourish? Did it expand? Or was it an isolated approach? So yeah, curious what you come up with on that one. And then yeah, security through verification. Well, duh. Non-repudiation. Everybody's looking for particularly internet transactions and anti, software, anti-hacking, all of that. But we'll never get serious about it as long as too many people are worried about their anonymity, which is mistakenly labeled as privacy occasionally. Um, Security through verification. People don't want to be verified, but they want to be verified, but they don't want to be verified. It's a love-hate relationship with identity theft and identity verification, authentication, authorization. Those the basic computer security tenets that we learn. It's interesting watching people. They want a secure internet, but they don't want a secure internet. Um, Interesting. So see what you come up with. And then blockchain for good by 2030. This is this is quite the prediction, and I would definitely challenge anyone to prove it. Significant improvements in the world's standard of living will be attributed to the development of blockchain. Improvements in the world's standard of living. So, access to clean water, access to housing, access to healthcare, peace, stability, decreases in violence, more trust in government. There are, standard of living metrics that are published by the United Nations. So, really, because of blockchain, okay, I would challenge you to prove that. But there you go. I think that's the last slide. Yes, that's the last slide. Okay, guys. So a week hence, you have your final portfolio project due. Um, uh, it's 100 points, 10% of your grade. Just make sure it's well written and original and backed up by literature. It doesn't have to be right or wrong because you're not. There is no right or wrong answer. There's only what's out there in the literature and what can be substantiated through the literature. So I look forward to reading those. And then that very, very, very short week, week 16, is just a quick wrap up discussion. And that's got to be done be in by midweek, by Wednesday, completely done. Initial response and replies to fellow students. That's not this coming week, but next week. And then you are done with this semester. So, as always, email me with any questions or concerns, and have a good week.